There is a universal quiet found in graveyards, a peaceful, undisturbed stillness. We bury our dead, we place a stone to remember their name, and we leave them to rest. But if you walk through certain forgotten cemeteries in Scotland, England, and even parts of early colonial America, you will find graves that shatter that peace. You will find headstones surrounded by massive, rusted iron bars. Heavy cages bolted deep into the earth, encasing the grave like a subterranean prison cell. When you look at them, your brain tries to make sense of it. Why would a family spend a fortune to cage a dead body? The history books will give you one answer, but the local folklore gives you a much darker one. Today, we are going to look at the Mortsafe. We will explore the terrifying true crime that created them, the supernatural legends that surround them, and the ultimate, horrifying twist that makes these cages the stuff of absolute nightmares. Welcome back to the Audiocast. Dim your lights, check your locks, and let's dig up the past. To understand the cage, you first have to understand the terror of the 19th century. In the 1800s, modern medicine was experiencing a golden age. Surgeons were learning how to save lives, map the human body, and cure diseases. But medical schools had a massive problem. To learn how the body works, you have to dissect one. By law, the only bodies legally allowed for medical dissection were those of executed murderers. But there simply weren't enough executions to supply the booming medical schools. A corpse became a highly valuable commodity. And where there is money, there is a black market. Enter the Resurrection Men. They were gangs of professional grave robbers. Operating under the cover of a moonless night, they would infiltrate cemeteries, locate the freshest graves, and quietly dig. They were remarkably efficient. They wouldn't dig up the whole coffin. They would dig a small shaft right at the head of the grave, smash open the wooden lid with a crowbar, tie a rope around the corpse's neck, and drag the body up through the dirt. They would strip the body of its clothes, because stealing clothes was a felony, but stealing a dead body was only a minor misdemeanor. Then, they would haul the naked corpse to the back door of a medical university, collect their gold, and vanish into the night. Families were completely paralyzed by fear. The thought of their beloved mother, their husband, or their child being dragged through the mud and sliced apart on a wooden table was unbearable. Guards were hired to patrol cemeteries. Watchtowers were built. But the Resurrection Men always found a way. The wealthy needed a permanent solution. They needed something impenetrable. They created the Mortsafe. These iron contraptions were incredibly heavy. Some weighed over a ton. They were placed over the coffin, locked with complex padlocks, and left for 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, the body would be too decomposed for the anatomists to use, and the cage could be removed and reused. This is the accepted historical truth. It makes sense. It is logical. But history is rarely that simple. If you travel to the rural villages where these cages first appeared, you will hear a different story passed down by the locals. You see, the Mortsafe didn't just appear during the era of grave robbers. It appeared during the height of the European and American vampire panics. In the 1800s, people didn't fully understand how diseases like tuberculosis spread. When a family member died of consumption, their body would waste away. Weeks later, another family member would fall ill and die. Then another. To a terrified, isolated village, it didn't look like a virus. It looked like the first victim was coming back from the grave at night, feeding on the life force of their own family. They believed in revenants, the undead. Look closely at the design of some of the older Mortsafes. Historians claim the heavy iron bars were meant to keep shovels out. But engineers and blacksmiths who have studied these cages note something chilling. On many of the oldest iron grids, the strongest reinforcements, the heaviest bolts, and the locking mechanisms are designed to withstand force pushing up from the inside. They weren't trying to keep the thieves out. They were trying to keep the corpse in. Iron has long been known in folklore as a purifier, a metal that burns the supernatural. Pinning a suspected vampire to the earth with a ton of blessed iron was a surefire way to make sure they never walked the village streets again. But there is a third theory. A theory so deeply disturbing that most historians refuse to entertain it. It involves a fear known as taphophobia, the fear of being buried alive. In the Victorian era, medical science was incredibly flawed. Comas, deep sleeps, and catalepsy were frequently misdiagnosed as death. There were hundreds of documented cases of graves being relocated, only for workers to open the coffins and find the fabric on the inside of the lid torn to shreds by bloody fingernails. The corpses were found contorted in frozen screams. They had woken up underground. Because of this widespread fear, safety coffins were invented. These were coffins equipped with a string tied to a bell above ground. If you woke up, you could ring the bell, and the cemetery watchman would dig you up. But what if your family had purchased a Mortsafe? Imagine it. You fall into a deep, catatonic coma. The doctors declare you dead. Your grieving family, wanting to protect your body from the resurrection men, spares no expense. They bury you, and they bolt a 1-ton iron cage directly over your grave. 2 days later, your eyes snap open. It's pitch black. You can barely breathe. You push against the wooden lid of the coffin. To your absolute horror, the wood splinters. The lid gives way. You push your hands through the loose dirt, scraping, clawing your way up toward the surface, toward the air, toward life. You push through 2 feet of soil. You can almost feel the fresh air. And then, your bloody, broken fingers hit cold, unyielding iron. You are inches from the surface. You can feel the rain. You can smell the grass. But you cannot get out. The cage your family bought to protect you has become your eternal, inescapable trap. You scream for help, but the heavy iron plate muffles the sound. And even if someone heard you, it would take a team of men and heavy machinery hours to unbolt the cage. Hours you do not have. The Mortsafe is a monument to human fear. Fear of thieves, fear of monsters, and perhaps, the unintentional creation of the ultimate nightmare. The next time you walk through an old cemetery and see one of these rusted cages, stop for a moment. Look at the ground beneath it. And hope, for their sake, that whoever is down there, was truly dead before the locks were turned. Thank you for listening to the Audiocast. If this story kept you awake, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and tell me in the comments, what is your greatest fear? Until next time, keep your doors locked, and sleep with the lights on.